Hello there, welcome to the continuation of our JavaScript tutorial. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the JavaScript date objects. Dates is a very important object in programming language because often you deal with dates. Likewise, in JavaScript, we have functions that helps you to get dates, to manipulate dates, get year, month, the day, the hour, the minute, and the seconds from the date object. Now, how do you create a date object? By simply creating a variable and assigning a new date function call to it, you already have a date object. For example, you say variable d is equals to new date document.getElement by demo.innerHTML is equals to d. So this new date here is going to output Friday, October 14th, 2022, 6:15, 13 seconds GMT +1 West African Standard Time. So all this is gotten from just saying d is equals to new date, right? Then you can do several other things with the date object. Creating date object. Date objects are created with the new date constructor. There are 4 ways to create a new date object. For example, you can create a new date object without passing anything to the constructor. This will give you today's date. You can as well create a date object by specifying all of these arguments. For example, I say, okay, I want to create a date object from 2002, December, maybe on the 10th at 8 hours, 8 o'clock, 30 minutes and 30 seconds, and some milliseconds. Okay, you can as well create a date given the milliseconds. You can as well create a date by supplying the date string. Okay, the new date creates a date object with the current date and time. If you specify the new date with the year and month and day and hour and minute parameter, so it creates a new date object with the specified date and time. 7 numbers specify year, month, date, hour, minute, seconds, and milliseconds. For example, if you look at this example here, you see here we are creating a new date with what? 2018 as the year, 11 as the month, 24 as the day, 10 as the hour, 33 as the minute, 30 as the seconds, and on 0 milliseconds. So let's look at the output from here. So, and that gives us the Monday, December 24, 2018, like that. So, for example, a simple challenge is if you want to know the day you were born, you can simply change the date object here. For example, let's say you were born in 2001 and you were born on the 23rd of this is the month, so you were born on let's say May, which is 5, and on the 23rd of May. So you can set the hours to be 0. You just want to know the date, right? 0 0 wrong, and then that was on Saturday. On Saturday of June 23rd, 2001, you were giving birth to on Saturday. So that's just a simple challenge. So these are different. You can as well create a new date by supplying just the year, the month, and the day. or the year, the month, the day, the hour, like that, all are valid. Or you can just specify a date by simply creating what? By simply supplying just the year, and so it will automatically give you the 1st of January, Thursday. Interpret it as what? A millisecond. Okay, so and this gives you this particular time, which is 1970. The previous century. 1 and 2-digit year will be interpreted as this. Okay, so this is a previous century, and that gives us Friday, December 24th, 1999. Okay, let's look at this date. 1909. So there are various ways you can create a date object. Date methods. When a date object is created, a number of methods allow you to operate on it. Just as we have been seeing, there are some predefined methods and functions in numbers, in strings, arrays. So just like that, those the date as well have number of methods that we can work with, and so we're going to be looking at some of those methods. The first method that we're going to be looking at is the toString method. Of course, the toString method displays the date, converts the date in a string, so it's not too different from what we have been seeing. So this is the toString method, and it still gives us the same output. Okay, but there are other methods. We have the toUtc strings method, converts a date to a UTC string. So let's see what a UTC string means. So this is what we get from a UTC string. So all the other Western, have been split out, and the only thing we have now is the date, the time, and GMT. Okay, so that is UTC string. Date string. Let's see date string. The date string gives you just the date, and it excludes the time. So if you are interested in just the date, you can just say to date string. So then it gives you just the date and splits out the time. Now, date formats. There are generally 3 types of JavaScript date input format. We have the ISO date, the short date, and the long date. So example of the ISO date: 2015 March 25th. So this is the international standard. Then we have the short date, which is let's say starting with the month, then slash the day, then slash the year. And then we have the long date, which is starting with March in the word, then day in number, year in number. Or you can as well say start with 25th, which is the day, then the March, and then the year. The ISO format follows a strict standard in JavaScript. The other formats are not so well defined and might be browser specific. So it's better when working with dates, you stick to the ISO format, starting with the year, the month, and the date, separated with what? With a hyphen. Okay. So again, this is the JavaScript date output, which is the default output. The JavaScript ISO dates. So ISO dates, ISO 8601 is the international standard for the representation of dates and time. The ISO 8601 syntax is YYYY -mm-DD. Is also the preferred JavaScript date format. So always stick to this format when working with date. So for example, if you do this, then it's gonna give you something like this: Wednesday, March 25th, 2015. So the computer date will be relative to your time zone. So it always use the time zone of your computer system to compute the date. ISO dates, year and month. So ISO dates can be written without specifying the day. Time zone will vary the result above between February 28 and March 01. Okay, so I think we're just gonna skip all of this. JavaScript long dates, again, skipping. Good, let's come to date input parsing of date. So if you have a valid date string, you can use the date.parse method to convert it to millisecond. So for example, let's look at this. Now the advantage of this is sometimes you need unique codes. Again, this can give you a unique code. So because it allows you to get milliseconds from the date. So you see date.parse, then you say March 21st, 2012, and so it gives you this. So a little alteration will give you a different result. For example, if you now change the date to 22 and you say run, you get a different result. If you change March here to, let's say, April, like this, and you say run, you see you get a different result. So sometimes if you are dealing with let's say something like a register, this can be very helpful in things like what, a register or an activity that takes place maybe just once in a day. So such kind of activities can be tracked with what, the dates in milliseconds. Okay, you can then use the number of milliseconds to convert it to date. Again, you can convert from milliseconds to a date by using variable d is equals to new date, then milliseconds, and then you can get the date object from there. So this now gives you a valid date object that you can perform. You have several methods. So we're gonna get to those methods in the next chapter, the date methods. So when you have from you want to convert, you have a date in string. So from string you need to convert it to a date object using date.parse, which converts it to milliseconds. Then from milliseconds you convert it to a date object. Then once you convert it to a date object, then all these methods that you see here becomes what, becomes available on that object. Okay, so we have the get full year. The get full year returns a 4-digit number of the year. Get month returns the month from 0 to 1. Get date returns the day from 1 to 31. Get hour returns the hour from the hours from 0 to 23. Get minutes returns the minute from 0 to 59, get seconds from 0 to 59, get milliseconds from 0 to 999, and also get time, returns the time in milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. Get day, returns the week as a number. I think that should have been get week. Okay, and date.now gets the time. That's the current time, right? Okay. And this is in ECMAScript 5. So that means it may not be supported in older version of browsers. Then we have the get time. The get time method returns the time in milliseconds since from January 1st, 1970. So this is the milliseconds of what? The current milliseconds. Now, if you keep running this, you keep getting a different value. So this also a way of what? You know, getting unique numbers. Because every 1 second that pass and milliseconds that pass, this number keeps what? Changing. You can see that. So once there are an operation that takes place, you want to track these operations, and these operations have just one millisecond interval between them. You can use this to track, right? You can use this to track, and you want to get the time that the operation was performed. Like this, you can do this. Okay, that's the get time method. We have the get full year. It returns the year in 4 digits. For example, we're in 2022 now. Even if I refresh, it's not going to change until next year. Get month returns the month in number. In JavaScript, the first month, January, is a month is represented in 0. So December will be represented by 11. So if you want to get the real month value, you end up adding what? 1 to it. So that's why you see that in this code here, we have a +1. So that +1 now will be the true number or representation of October. But if you don't add +1, you're gonna get 9. And if you echo 9 to your users, they might think it's September instead of October. Okay. So we have all the other methods: the get seconds, get hours, get minutes, the get dates, get months. Okay, and get milliseconds, and the get day method. The get day method that returns the number of the week. So for example, you want to know the number of week we are in currently. So today is Friday, and so we're in Friday, and so we have 5. The weekday is 5, right? And in JavaScript, the first day of the week is 0, means Sunday, and in some countries in the world consider the first day of the week as Monday. Then we have the UTC date. The UTC date methods are used for working with UTC dates. And UTC stands for the Universal Time Zone Date. So, same as the get date. You can see these are the equivalent version of the UTC dates. So you say get UTC date, get UTC day, get UTC full year, get UTC hours, get UTC millisecond, get UTC minutes, and so on. Then the set methods. The set methods are used in setting date. For example, you can say variable d is equals to new date, d.set full year 2020, and the year part of the date becomes 2020. For example, if you do this, it's gonna give you, today is 14th October, right? So it's gonna give you 14th October 2020 because we have called the set full year method on the date and we specify the year of 2020. So the set methods are used in setting parts of the date. Okay, so just like the get methods, we have several set methods. You can set the year, the hour, the milliseconds, the minute, the month, the seconds, and then you can also set time. So the set time, you are gonna supply the time, the date in milliseconds. So if you have a date in milliseconds, you can use the set time to set the time, and then you can now get back the date in string. For example, if I have this milliseconds, remember, I'm gonna copy this guy now. Then I'm gonna call variable date is this, and I'm gonna say set time like this, and I'm gonna pass in my milliseconds like this, and then I'm gonna run this one now. So you can see that that millisecond corresponds to a day like this, right? Sunday, April 22, 2012, right? Yeah, Sunday, April 22, 2012. So if I say if I now say, for example, if I run here now, I want to get a millisecond here, and what I want to get is this. I say variable d is equals to new date like this, right? And I say okay, and I'm gonna copy this guy here. I'm gonna say variable d is equals to d dot get time. What happens is that it's gonna give me the current milliseconds like this, and if I get that current milliseconds, I can create a new date. Let's say I have this milliseconds stored in my database. I can create a new date and quickly convert it to its date string by simply passing it to create a new date object, pass it to set time, and supply that, and it's gonna give me exact moment when I generated that. So you can see this is the exact moment I generated that milliseconds, which is 35 seconds past 37 minutes past 6 hours on this date, like that. So even if I refresh 10 times, it's not gonna change because the milliseconds remains the same. Okay, so we're gonna stop here in this video. Now next video we're gonna be looking at the math methods. The math methods are methods that are used in performing arithmetic operations such as the random, the means, the max, tangent, some arithmetic set of operations. Okay, pi. So we have a list of all the methods in the math class. Okay, see you in the next video.